Alright, this lesson is to help you with factoring by grouping. You're going to use this strategy when the polynomial that you're given to be factored has 4 terms. Previously, we talked about what to do if there were 2 terms or 3 terms. So this is the strategy for if there are 4 terms. So here's my first example. And just like always, the very first thing you do is to see if there's a common factor in every term. And there's not in this one. So when you're doing factoring by grouping, the process is you group the first 2 terms and look for something that's common to those 2. And I can see that there's a common factor of 2 and there's a common factor of n. So I'm going to put that on the outside. And then I ask, what do I have to multiply 2n by to get 2mn? And that would be an m. And what do I multiply 2n by to get negative 8n? And that would be a negative 4. So you group the first 2 terms and factor out whatever's common to them. That's step 1. Step 2 is take this binomial, whatever it is, and copy it down here. Exactly as it was. Then you're going to need either a plus or minus sign here and a number right here. So that when you multiply that by this, you get this. So I ask, what would I need to multiply m by to get a positive 3m? That would be a positive 3. And then I check to make sure that this 3 times this negative 4 will give me negative 12. And it will. So now I have 2 terms, this term and this term. And what's common to those is m minus 4. So I put that out here as the common factor. And then my other factor is what's left over. So that's 2n plus 3. And if we were to multiply that out, we would see that we do indeed get these 4 terms. So that's the strategy that you're going to use when there's 4 terms. Let's do another one. I group the first 2 terms and look for something that's common to just those 2. When I'm looking for that, I ignore this part. I'm only looking at those 2 terms. And what do I multiply by m to get m squared would be another m. What do I multiply by m to get plus 2m would be plus 2. So step 1 is factor a common factor from the first 2 terms. Step 2 is whatever that factor is, copy it down here. Step 3 is to figure out what needs to go right here. There needs to be either a plus or minus sign and some kind of a number or letter. So I ask, what would I multiply by m to get a positive mn? That would be a positive n. And then I check to make sure that this n times this 2 gives me that last term. And it does. Now I factor whatever's common to those 2, which is the m plus 2. And my other factor is what's left over, that m plus n. And that's my answer. Alright, third example. Let's see if we can get it in focus. There it is. So what's common to these 2 is just a b. What do I multiply by b to get 2b squared? What do I multiply by b to get plus 3b? Okay, and whatever that binomial is, copy it off here to the right. And then back it out, sort of. What do I need to multiply by 2b to get a negative 4ab? That would be a negative 4 I'm sorry, that was a negative 8ab. I need to multiply by a negative 4a. Because if I multiply negative 4a times 2b, I'll get negative 8ab. Then I make sure that if I multiply negative 4a times this positive 3, that I'll get a negative 12a. And I do. So now I write down the common factor, the 2b plus 3. And my other factor is what's left over, the b minus 4a. One more example. That says 10x cubed, in case you can't read that. So I look at the first two. What's common to just those two? A 5x squared. What do I multiply by 5x squared to get 10x cubed? That would be 2x. What do I multiply by 5x squared to get 15x squared? That would be a plus 3. Whatever that binomial is, copy it off to the right. And then decide what needs to go here, so that if you multiply by this, you'll get these two terms. So what do I multiply by 2x to get negative 8x? That would be a negative 4. And I make sure that negative 4 times positive 3 gives me a negative 12. And it does. So now I write down the common factor. And my other factor is this part and this part. 5x squared minus 4. And that's my answer. Okay, that's it.